Hi guys, Mary Beth Temple here, and in this video we're going to make a triangle shawl from the center out and the top down. We're going to do a half granny square, so we're going to start right up here at the very center, and we're going to use an Ogo. Now this is a new yarn from Karen from Yarnspirations. This is the big donut in the spiced ginger colorway. I'm not going on and on about the Ogo, but it's this new put up that keeps it from tangling, and the colors are all joined. So if you look at our shawl here, which is kind of hard to do because I'm on my tabletop set, I will insert some pictures. How about that? You can see that the shawl changes colors as I crochet sort of all by itself. It changes color where it changes. Each consecutive section is a more narrow stripe of the color because of course the piece is wider as the triangle gets bigger. And this one finished was about 64 inches wide and 32 inches long. Now I am a plus size person and it is comfortable on me. It's not enormous, but it's a good size. It's a good size for running around out in the world. It would be nice as sort of an oversized scarf. So we are going to do this scarf from beginning to end right here on the video. I will tell you that there will be a link below where you can scoot over to the blog and see the pattern all written out if that is what you would like to do. And let's just get to the good stuff. Now the label on the Karen Big Donut in the Ogo recommends an H8 or 5mm hook. I find that is a little tight for my taste, and I want my shawl to have some movement, so I went up to an I hook. You of course can use whatever hook makes sense with your gauge. So this is an I9 5.5mm, and you can see it's kind of beat up, but this is one of my old favorite hooks, so that's what we're going to use. The first thing we're going to do is make a slip knot. So here is our tail yarn, which is what we call the cut end, and here is our working yarn, which is the yarn that is attached to the ball or the skein or the Ogo. So about 4 to 6 inches in, because I want to leave a nice tail to weave in, I'm going to make a loop and I'm going to twist it. Now my tail is on the top, my working yarn is underneath. I'm going to reach in with my thumb and index finger through the back. I'm going to grab that working yarn and pull it up, and there is my slip knot. Now we call this a slip knot because if you put it in the wrong place, it slips right out. But we're going to take our slip knot and put that on our crochet hook. We're going to tighten it up, not super tight, not super loose, just the size of the hook. And you want to make sure it's up here on the fat part. You don't want to work too close to the throat because that will make your work too tight. And we're going to chain 4. So to chain, now this guy does not count as a chain. That's our slip knot. That's what we got started with. You're going to yarn over from back to front and draw it through the existing loop. So that's chain 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is our very start. Now the next thing we're going to do is 2 double crochet, chain 3, 3 double crochet in the 4th chain from hook. So I made 4 chains. So the 4th chain from hook is going to be the very first one that I made. And I like to go under 2 of the 3 legs of the chain just because I think it's a little sturdier. So let's look at our double crochet. We're going to yarn over from back to front. We're going to insert our hook in that chain, yarn over and draw it through the chain. We have 3 loops on our hook, 1, 2, 3. Yarn over, draw through 2 twice. Yarn over, draw through 2. Yarn over, draw through 2. So that was our first double crochet. Let's make another one. Yarn over, back to front. Insert your hook in that same chain in this case. Yarn over, draw up a loop. 3 loops on hook and make sure that they get up to the fat part. Don't work too close or you'll be crocheting tightly and you will be an unhappy camper. Yarn over, draw through 2. Yarn over, draw through 2. So the next thing we're going to do is chain 3, 1, 2, 3. and now 3 double crochet in that same spot. Yarn over back to front, insert your hook in the stitch, yarn over, draw up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2 times. There's 1, there's 2. That's 1 double crochet. We're going to make 2 more. And there's my last one. So, for the sake of this piece, that chain 3 at the beginning of, oops, sorry about that. For the sake of this piece, that chain 3 at the beginning of each row is going to count as a double crochet. So when you look at this, you see these 2 3 double crochet groups with that central chain. Now, as we keep going, we're going to add height and width, but that central chain is always going to line up. It's always going to be consistent right on top of each other. And for this particular pattern, we're always working in groups of 3 stitches. So we're going to chain 3 and turn 1, 2, 3. Turn the work. Now we have to add one of these 3 double crochet shells because we're increasing on every single row. So I'm going to put 2 stitches in that first stitch to make that 3 double crochet group. So that's the first double crochet, and there's the second double crochet. So there's my increased group. Now we're going to jump over into our center section, and we're going to make 3 double crochet, chain 3, 3 double crochet right in that center section. 2, 3, chain 3, 1, 2, 3. So if we're chaining 3 here between the groups, that does not count as a stitch. If we're chaining 3 at the beginning of the round, then row, pardon me, then it does. 1, 2, 3. And now we're going to jump to the very last stitch. Now that's going to be the top of that chain 3. And just like in the beginning, I like to get my stitches under 2 legs of that chain just to make it nice and sturdy. So I'm going right in here. There's 2 loops over my hook and 1 under. If you do it under 1, is that going to ruin your life? No, it is not. You just want to be internally consistent. Mary Beth's rules of internal consistency are: you can do whatever you want as long as you do it the same way every time. Because if you do it the same way every time, the piece will look even and consistent, and there are no crochet police. So here's our second row complete. We got a thread on there. Can you tell I've been sewing in the studio this week? So we had 2 3 double crochet groups on the first row. Now we have 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, this row that we're doing next, we're going to just do this row over and 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 over until we're almost out of yarn. So this is where you want to pay attention. 1, we're going to chain 3, turn, 2, 3, turn. 2 double crochets in that first stitch to make a 3 double crochet group. And now we're looking for the space between the next 2, between the 2 3 double crochet groups. So in this case, it's between the first one and the second one. You can see it's enormous. It's pretty easy to see where you're going. So you're going into that space between those stitches and making 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. Now we're coming up to our central chain 3 that tracks through the whole shawl. We're going to put 3 double crochet, chain 3, 3 double crochet in there. So that's 1, 2, 3, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, 3 double crochets in that same space, 1, 2, 3. Now look for that next space. What the written pattern will say is 3 double crochet in the space between the 3rd and 4th double crochet from hook. So what it's telling you is to skip 3. 1, 2, 3, and there's your space. But honestly, it is enormous, and I promise you will be able to see it. There's 3, 1, 2, 3, and then when you get to the end of the row, no matter how big that row is, you're going to skip those 2 double crochets and put 3 double crochets in the top of that beginning chain 3. That's where that increase is going to go. So this is giving us width and height. So, first round we had 2, second round we had 4, pardon me, I keep saying round. Round is when you go in rounds, row is when you go back and forth in rows, which is what we're doing. I'm apparently having brain death today. So we had 2, then we had 1, 2, 3, 4, now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So what's going to happen? Every single row that you do will add 2 shells. 2 3 double crochet shells. And you'll have one more time that you have to work before you get to the center. So remember, on this row, we only had 1 3 double crochet group before we got to the center. Now we're going to have 2. And so each row gets bigger. 2. Oh my goodness. 2. 3. I'm going to skip this group and go to the space before the next group. 1, 2, 3. When I come up to my central chain 3, there it is. I know that I'm going to do 3 double crochet, chain 3, 3 double crochet in there. Now, if you did not want to use an ogo on this, you could just use regular worsted weight yarn. That's a number 4. And you could do different colors if you wanted, if you had a bunch of different colors laying around. Or you can do what the ogo does and find something that changes colors. I like this in a stripy yarn. I like how the stripes look as opposed to just a big old variegated, which to me looks a little messy in this stitch pattern. But of course, you can use whatever yarn you want. And also this makes a really great stash buster. You could sort of use whatever worsted weight or Craft Yarn Council 4 medium yarns that you had laying around and just let the colors change as they will. Whether it's a big scrap or a little scrap. Remember, the farther out you go, the bigger the row is and the less number of groups you're going to have in your yarn. So you might want to use the smaller scraps at the beginning of your shawl and the bigger scraps at the end. So here's my last time. I'm going to skip those 2. I'm going to put 3 doubles in here. 1, 2, and then chain 3 turns. So that's it. That is all there is to this triangle shawl. You do it over and over and over until you're almost out of yarn, and then I would put a single crochet edging on it, which I'm just about to show you. But I'm going to stop right here and grab the sample out just to show you a couple of things, and then we'll get right to that edging. So one more time, here's my central chain 3, and you can see that it is consistent. It goes right down the middle of the shawl till the very end. You can also see what I was talking about is the stripe gets more narrow as you go. So on an Ogo, even though you get the same amount of yardage in each color, because as the shawl gets bigger, you have more shells that you have to do, the stripe looks more narrow. So I could have started at this end and had this in the center if I wanted. And if you, again, this is mine, yours may be a little bit different. But when I did mine, so this is my last shell row, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, and then 33 and 34 are in my center section. So the pattern is still the same. You're going to put those 2 doubles at the beginning for your increase. You're going to work 3 double crochets between each 3 double crochet group. When you get to the center section, you're going to work 3 double crochet, chain 3, 3 double crochet in the center section. You're going to put a 3 double crochet group between each 3 double crochet group until you get to the bitter end. At the end, you're going to skip those 2 double crochets and put your last 3 double crochet group in the top of that turning chain. So I put a nice little single crochet edging on this just to keep things nice and even. So let me do that on my little tiny swatch so you can see it. Let me grab that. So obviously your piece will be much larger than this. This is just a little swatch. But at the very last row to put your edging on, you're going to chain 1 and turn instead of chain 3 and turn. And you're going to put 1 single crochet in each double crochet and 3 single crochet in that chain 3 loop. So we're just going to single crochet across. So remember, for single crochet, there's no yarn over at the beginning. You're just inserting your hook under both legs of the stitch, yarn over and draw it up. You have 2 loops on your hook, 1, 2, yarn over and draw it through. In the next stitch, yarn over, draw up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2. So there's no yarning over at the beginning of a single. Insert your hook under both legs of the stitch, yarn over, draw up a loop. You have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, draw through 2. And we're going to do this all the way across until we get to that chain 3 in the middle. Whoops, missed a leg. There we go. And then when I get here to this chain 3 space, I'm going to put 3 singles in there. But again, just in the space. I'm not trying to pick out chains. That's crazy talk. We want this to be relaxing and fun. This is, again, a great shawl. This is great to watch TV to, or listen to music, or have a conversation with somebody while you're stitching, because it's pretty brainless. And once again, if you're familiar with granny squares, there's all kinds of ways to do granny squares. Some people put chains between the 3 double crochet groups. Some people do 2 chains in the corner instead of 3. You know, if you are a granny square person and you have a way that you have found that works for your particular crochet gauge, you've got the general gist of what's going on here, where you have to place those stitches to get your triangle, to get your half granny. And then when I get to the end, that group, it's going to be 1 in this guy, 1 in this guy, and then 1 at the top of that beginning chain under those 2 legs, which is where we were originally putting our doubles. Then all I have to do is cut my yarn Oh my goodness, I had pinking shears instead of regular shears. Pull that yarn through, all the way through. Give a little tug so it doesn't unravel. That's all there is to it. The other thing I like about this shawl is there's no finishing to do to speak of. So all I have to do is take this tail, thread it on my tapestry needle, weave in and out a little bit, or maybe under the edging so that nothing pulls out, and then trim it close. And then I'm going to do the same thing up here. But because the Ogo changes colors as it goes, there's no knots and there's not a million ends to weave in. So once again, this is a very quick project to do. And as the winter months arrive, it's certainly useful. It also makes a great holiday or teacher gift. So thank you so much for joining me. Once again, I'm Mary Beth Temple. Check us out at hookedforlifepublishing.com/blog. And as always, please like this video and subscribe to the channel for fresh content as soon as I am able in knitting and crochet and sewing and crafts and whatever else I get up to. You never know. But thanks so much for hanging out with me tonight, you guys. I appreciate it. Bye-bye.